Hey, hey, hey. It's a filter-free Friday, y'all. Listen, I'm glad y'all here. Yesterday, my little icy down, it was also the day to take out recyclables. And my driveway is a little steep. And I was looking real cute in my little casual clothes, wearing my girlfriend's Jordan she let me buy so I can flex when I'm with the young people. And if I didn't slip and bust my behind on that ice, and I know better than this, but I fell back, hit my hand, and my little stuff all jacked up. I wish I would have gotten it on video because I absolutely would have posted it, and I think I would have went viral. Anyway, y'all pray my strength in the Lord about this hand, because honey, it's a whole situation over here. Y'all should have synced it. When I was first in engineering school, one of the things that we learned was to ask why 5 times 5 different ways. So if you see an issue, and it looks like maybe an employee is not meeting their production numbers in a manufacturing facility, you would ask why, and then maybe they would say something like, well, I can't seem to get this part from here to here. Um, this is the slowest part of my process. And then you would say, well, why is that? And then they would answer and say, well, because this little gear gets stuck every so often, and I have to stop and like unstick it. And you say, well, why is that? And then you find that the maintenance doesn't get done regularly on this particular line because perhaps we don't have enough maintenance crew. And then you say, well, why is that? And then you learn that somebody cut the budget, and when they cut the labor, they did maintenance personnel that they thought that they could rotate in and out. Um, and that was a good idea until one person got cancer and then is off for a while. And then you say, well, why is that? And then you say, oh, well, even though we had a record breaking profit year, we were trying to squeeze a little more out of cost. And you just keep asking why until you get to baseline root cause of problems. And so imagine my surprise this morning when I saw on Condolezza Rice's Instagram page. And if y'all don't know who that is, she was the first Black woman to be, well, she was during Judge George W. Bush's presidency, she was the highest ranking Black female ever in the succession of the presidency because she was a Secretary of State. So she was like third in line. Now, in the early 80s, she was a Democrat, but that's nonetheless. And on her Instagram, she was saying that she was proud and glad, actually, to have been raised uh, in the segregated South, because the fact that she couldn't go to schools with other people and movies, that everybody was her teacher, and that there was one doctor and one lawyer in town, and Black, and they were all teachers of hers. Now, what she, interestingly enough, left out when she said we should not be victims was that she was in this particular clip, because of people's desire not to have segregation, she was friends with the children who were the uh, the 4 little girls who were killed in that church that was bombed in Birmingham. She was friends with them. And there was one young lady, I think her last name is Rudolph. I have forgotten her first name, who survived that blast. And I think it's interesting when someone says in the same sentence that segregation taught her to work twice as hard to get the same opportunities. And for this, she was glad, because when you're working twice as hard, you're not the victim. What, like, what kind of circular argument? Some of these things, I swear to you, remind me of some men I've dated in my life, where you just saying whatever you want to say, and it don't make no earthly sense. Now, do I think that there were benefits to segregation? Absolutely, especially from an educational standpoint. Imagine children only being in environments where the people look like them and believe in their exceptional ability to excel. Hmm. That's what we get in urban school districts. And so I'm sitting here listening to her. I listened to it twice because I was like, maybe I missed something, maybe I missed it. And I am regularly, when I'm in my session, saying that there are three dimensions, three different parts of being able to right this ship for more people more often. And it includes being able to focus on the personal, which, no one would. I listen, I spend a lot of time in therapy to not be a victim. That to embrace this idea that whatever happens to me, the more I can practice radical acceptance, the better off I will be as a person, me. But I own a company, and my little personal nonsense impacts other people. If I won't look at the power I have from a leadership standpoint to be able to change things based on policy, practice, and procedure, I'm being disingenuous. I'm just, what the hell, right? Like, you have the ability in the places where you have power to do better. And if, as Secretary of State, you think people just victims out here, you ain't gonna pass no policy. No, you ain't gonna change no law to be able to impact people that are being treated unfairly. It personally, I should not think of myself as a victim, right? Like, what I want to do right now, I'm not gonna do because I'm trying to be better out here in these streets. But then, in addition to the personal and then like the leadership power places you have, there's the institutional stuff. Ma'am, you would not have been able, white people, you were the first Black woman white people allowed to be Secretary of State. Institutionally, systemically, it was illegal. So don't, when you the first, I have to ask why 5 times, 5 different ways to get to the root cause analysis. But I will tell you that because you were the first Black female Secretary of State, I ain't even got to ask why 5 times, 5 different ways, because racism. You think you were the first Black woman smart enough, good enough, politically astute enough? Maybe all that glad segregation didn't teach you as much as it should have. Then we got Nimrata talking about, I wouldn't be here, my immigrant status, if America was a racist country. Well, Nimrata, why do you think that you are the first brown person white people allowed to even have this opportunity to be in the position you are in? You ain't never gonna see me standing on nobody's platform saying that we should be victims. Never. But that's the personal component. You be at the other end of these racist policies. You be at the other end of these racist practices, and then tell me, ah, you should be glad this happened to you. It gives you the opportunity to work twice as hard. You know, it is a clear demonstration of a lack of empathy. Like, really, like, just change the words a bit and just say, you know, let a white person just say, I was I was real grateful to be in the segregated South because it gave me the opportunity to work half as hard, to be able to get more benefits, and to be able to not have people lynching me. I was kind of glad for that. I was sad when they changed it. And I think that I'm the real victim here when they integrated everything. You see how stupid that sounds? And the engineer in me just cannot. What you not gonna do is sit up here and, ma'am, you wouldn't have been able to go to Stanford without the ability to change the law. Miss Glad I was raised in the segregated South. And Nimrata Nikki Haley. Ma'am, why do you use Nikki instead of Nimrata? Why don't you use your first name? And there are many people who go by their middle names. I will acknowledge that. But why don't you use Nimrata? Because we know that names that are unconventional, hard to say, difficult, whatever you want to call them. You don't want folk calling you ghetto Nimrata. You don't want them knowing on the surface that you're an immigrant. You're going to use that status when it's beneficial to you. George Santos likes to. Y'all know the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, right? I went to the parade. I had a good old time. And Travis Kelce was on Jimmy Kimmel last night. I don't watch that show. I don't like it. I don't know why I don't like it. Maybe y'all can help me figure that out. But I just love when people have a hype song. His is You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. And if you haven't seen the video, I think you should watch it. I think it'll bless your spirit, make you feel real happy today. But y'all want to know what my hype song is? Well, let me see if I can play it for y'all. Oh, then they'll like cancel my little video, won't even let it play if I do that. So I ain't gonna play it. But you know what it is? Anybody want to guess what y'all think my hype song is? Anybody? I'll give you a hint. It's a Prince one. And it's a fairly newer Prince song. It's musicology. When I hear that bass line drop, it's like and I don't know. It just gets me all hype. What's your hype song? Make sure y'all share it for me in the chat. But listen, when these folks sitting up here, it's racism sells. And I think racism sells more when you're black and brown. Nothing like a person who looks like they represent racial diversity saying the stuff that white people typically say. Today is kindness day. It's like random acts of kindness day. So I invite y'all on the personal level to do something kind for someone today. But just know, just because we being kind don't mean we changing no institutional policy, practices, or laws. We got to do both and, not either or. And whenever we look at any kind of humanistic problem that shows up in this world, and we on the surface think that it's the behavior of the people, just not thinking that they're a victim. I just want you to remember this. I knew the weather was going to be icy outside. I've been living in this city my whole life. I looked out there, saw that the grass had ice on it, and I still carried my little recycle bin right on down that little steep hill. And then when I fell, I cursed and then was like, I knew I should have put salt out there. Now, on the personal level, I cannot call myself a victim. But if then, when the mailman come up here, my postal worker is a man sometimes. My job is, as a person who owns property, to salt my whole stairs. Because that's what you do when you have positional power. And then, if I run a municipality like the city of Kansas City, there should be policies and practices and rules in place that we salt all the streets. Now, if I go out here and I'm driving down the street and it didn't get salted because it was a Super Bowl party on Wednesday, you gonna tell me just don't call myself a victim? I don't know, but that don't feel like the same thing. And on this Filter Free Friday, my hand hurts So it's filter-free Friday, y'all. We got plenty work to do.